Corvus is a hero in Bloons Tower Defense 6, and a pretty darn complicated one. Corvus is pretty simple when you look at him on a base level. He is a tower you can put down, and then his spirit will go out and attack Bloons, sort of like Etienne. But then, if you click on him, he will have a spell book. Look, Corvus gains mana when you pop Bloons, and you can use this mana to buy spells to buff the spirits and help it pop more Bloons. So, how far could we get on Bloons Tower Defense 6's most recent advanced map, Enchanted Glade, with only Corvus? In this video, we are going to find out. So to start out, let's just look at the early rounds. Now, we're not going to stay here for too long because there's nothing really interesting here. I don't think I even had to use any spells up until round 24, where I used a singular vision spell to pop the first camo balloon. Then the rest of the 20s are very easy, and then the 30s are also pretty easy. I did lose a couple spikes because my vision didn't last long enough for the camos on round 33. But aside from that, it's just going and going and going. Now, the late 30s is where the challenge actually starts to get somewhat difficult. By that I mean I had to use a spell that wasn't vision. But after a couple spells, these rounds go down no problem. Now we have the actual issue, the Moab. Now, the issue with the Moab is there's only one real way to deal with it. Big Hand. Corvus has a single spell that transforms the spirit into a big hand that essentially, rather than having the spirit fly around, keeps it right next to Corvus and smacks any balloons it comes across, popping them basically instantly. It can basically one-shot a Moab. And it's sort of the only thing that can even deal with a Moab. But the problem here is you need 550 mana for it. And I do not have that much. So I had to use a combination of other spells in order to actually pop the Moab. Then, and it's just getting worse. The early 40s aren't that big of a problem, I guess. But then the late ones, this is an absolute nightmare. Now, it starts out, I guess we can tackle this with a few spells, especially Trample. Trample is quite useful because it can basically pop down any non-Moab class balloon. Well, I don't think it can pop down super ceramics, but it can pop down normal ceramics and anything weaker than them just fine. So, yeah. That's pretty useful. Then, with a combination of some other spells, we can just barely get past. But then we head into the late 40s, and this is absolutely terrible. And here's where we have to use one of Corvus's best and worst spells. This spell is really useful in the early game, but I'm gonna be completely honest, in the late game, it doesn't really do much. When I say late game, I really mean anything past round 50. It allows you to convert all your mana into extra lives, but yeah, not super useful. I mean, you can tank a single Moab or a DDT with it, but aside from that, it's complete garbage. But what we are going to use it for is to tank this massive rush of camo purples, because we have no way to get vision and trample at the same time. So we are going to convert all our mana into lives for a brief period of time and just tank all of the purples. And then, yeah, we get to round 50 and we're basically doomed. We can pop the first 2 Moabs on round 50 because of the big hand spell I mentioned earlier. But then, and only a few rounds later, on round 53, we lose. And this is because there is no way we get enough mana to pop this Moab. And even if we did, which I think I actually did in the end, our spell will still be on cooldown from the last time we had to pop Moabs. And although I might have been able to use the mana to lives to tank them all, I really don't know if that would have worked, and it would probably have worn off by the time the next Moab came. So this is where we're going to have to leave it. How far can you get on Enchanted Glade with only Corvus? Round 53. Hope you enjoyed watching. See you in the next one. Good. Bye.